What was the USS Liberty? Why was it in the eastern Mediterranean Sea during the Six-Day War? Why did Israeli air and naval forces attack an American ship?
He said, I got to see this. So he came down and he's got his gun, and I grabbed up mine, and we start tracking this. We track it into the wooded area, and the brush is thick, so we're weaving back and forth in that. Find a track here or there, because in the thicket it's hard to follow a track because there's just a piece of it here or there or the other place. Mostly we were looking at snow that was not apparent on the limbs, so you could almost pick out a path of travel based on there was no snow on the limb. Any second we were expecting something to explode right in front of us, because just based on what I saw. Which, by the way, I'll just make a brief description of it. To me, it looked like a giant image of the old Egyptian god. I think it's Horus. It looked similar to a government picture in a way. So as we traveled on, we came out into a clearing, and we saw the tracks headed right for the back door of this old check station.
Are aliens walking among us? And one of the most vocal believers of this theory is David Grush.
The U.S. government is operating with secrecy above congressional oversight with regards to UAPs.
In interviews, David has consistently spoken about alien sightings and things the government might not want us to know about.
And Luno is in the chat with me right now, and
in the house. Whoop whoop. Because that's my cup of tea. The conspiracy and the unknown and the weird stuff. That's me.
do an end because as soon as I get monetized, the grid's gonna go
As
down.
soon as I become somebody.
Yeah, I thought I was somebody. It's like Tyson. When I thought I was somebody, it was easy to offend me. But when I realized I was nobody, how could I be offended? Such a wise thing to say. What's that?
He's trying to come out of retirement.
Oh, he is, bro. He's going after.
He's getting ready.
What do you think about? I mean, I already know Tyson's going to destroy him, but what do you think?
Well, I mean, you got to remember this dude's about to climb in a ring with a 27-year-old. I mean, and not doubting age does play in it. And I mean, we are talking about Mike here. All right, so
yeah,
dude, that is definitely a fight I want to see.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? So I mean, even if Jake Paul does trounce Mike Tyson, that could be part of the play. But I don't think Mike Tyson's the kind of guy that's going to take a fall. I don't see it. I don't think he's built that way.
No, I mean, he'll bite your freaking ear off, dude. Like,
yeah.
I mean, winning's in his blood, and seeing that's what I'm seeing from this. I mean, when you look at this, Paul's used to fighting the younger generation. This is a whole different caliber right here, bro. Mike is a whole different beast.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, you can't train heart. You either have it or you don't. And
yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is that you were talking about how, I mean, that's not nothing. Getting in the ring with a 27-year-old could beat the brakes off of you, but if you're kind of weak-willed, but they just don't make men like they used to, bro. I mean, the grip strength on some of these young kids is, I mean, it's kind of bad, man. But Jake Paul, he's a tough dude.
He is, but if he goes in there extremely too cocky, thinking that, oh, he's old, I'm just going to mop this ring with him, he's going to have another thing coming. Mike, he's going to have to knock him out, dude. He is going to have to knock his block off, dude, because Mike's going to keep coming and keep coming. And I'm ready to see how this is going to go, because what praise are you going to get? If you beat Mike, then somebody's still going to say, oh, well, you beat old Mike. You didn't beat young Mike,
Ow.
or if he loses, then they're going to be like, man, how'd you get beat by this old dude? Even though it's Mike and that young dude on the airplane, what was that, a couple of years ago? He's learned a valuable lesson with Mike.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
All right. I don't know if you can show a clip of what actually happens.
So here we go. We're going to hit play. There's no sound on this video. There it goes. Oops. What the hell's going? There's my mouse. Okay. Which I'm glad there's no. Look at all the cars going by. Zoom, zoom. And I can't just imagine being. Now, the weird thing is like right before it happened, I didn't see any cars going back and forth. Well, hold on. There's something. There's one right there. One
wait. Oh, back that up just a little bit.
Okay.
Did that boat take a hard turn?
Yeah, like a super hard turn. Do you see what's this in the water over here? Is that just like some kind of a pier, or is that a boat?
That more than likely. See, they're gonna have support tugs. When those big container ships are moving in and out of ports, like I was telling you earlier, for people that don't know, and I'm only speaking on, I have my able seaman license. So for those of you who do not know, it's an AB. You got different tiers of leadership, even on ships, from deckhands all the way up to the captain. But pretty much is going to go your deckhand, your OS, which is your ordinary seaman, your AB, which is your able-bodied seaman, mate, and then captain. So I was third on the tier. When these big cargo ships are moving in any type of ports, coming out of big bodies of water into tight maneuvers, they're going to have support tug vessels as well as a pilot on board to control that vessel. So the captain, I think one of y'all said in a video when I finished watching it that somebody seen it was a Chinese vessel. So when that vessel come up, docked outside, that captain relinquished command to the pilot for that area. So that pilot strictly trains and knows that water, every obstacle, everything that's there, and what dock he's going to. So that way, boats don't have brakes, and especially them big ones like that, you can't have any mess ups, and especially in tight areas like that. So normally those big boats, they'll come in with some support tugs. The tugs will shadow on the side. Once it lines up with the dock, they'll kind of shove it up against the side of the dock so they can secure the lines and all of that down to tighten it and get ready to offload or onload. So more than likely what that was the support tug running beside it. But that takes a lot of them, dude. Like, they got to get up on it and start preparing way ahead of time, because it's just not like they can just get up there and automatically stop it. Like, they got to really start working hard, and it's going to have to be a couple of them.
Yeah, it's I'm just gonna have it on loop right now. And
Yeah.
I'll put us like this. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so what you was sitting there thinking, like, okay, we can say a couple of things are going on here. One, it can literally be human error. So just like military, any job, anything like that, especially on these ships, I know on our boats for the companies that I worked for, all the way down to the deckhand, the second you step on the boat, you have to go through vessel orientation. And one of the main things always, even on our boats, and I worked on lift boats, you had to know when we're underway, if we lose communication, power goes down, lose main engines, there is a way to steer that boat. Like I was telling GS earlier, there is a manual rudder wheel down in the engine room, and the telephones, like them old World War II crank phones, and they're up in the wheelhouse, and it goes down to the engine room. So the engineer's normally on standby when you're moving in and out of ports. Normally your engineer, that's his job, is the engine, so he's down there anyway. Tight spots, he's down there on standby. Let's just say he wasn't. Okay, so now they realize they lose rudder control. The pilot starts yelling, and that's the other thing, how they were saying communication. I'm sorry, I might be jumping all over the place, but there should have been calls to Coast Guard if this was a breakdown, fire, anything like that, because the first time something like that happens, fire in the engine rooms, alarms are going to start going off on the boat. Everything, and it's loud. I mean, them sirens are loud, and it automatically, captain's job or mate is mayday, 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 U.S. Coast Guard, vessel such and such, fire, port, or starboard engine room. Like, the communication's got to be there ahead of time. Just like how we was taught in the military, dude. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on. You come under fire, you make the call so somebody knows what's going on to get ready. But let's just say this was a mechanical issue. So they lost rudder, something like that happened. So they lost control.
That thing's hauling ass.
Yeah. And I mean, they are moving. Now I can't say, well, they were going too fast to be in that port loaded like he was. I mean, normally you see big vessels like that, dude, normally they're creeping. So, but I mean, I can't necessarily say, I don't know how those ships are coming in and out at that design port, but from Fouchon, Cameron, Houston, a lot of the ports that I've been in and out of, Morgan City, New Iberia, all of these different ones, all the way down to the crew boats, dude, you slow creep, because there is vessel police that are out there patrolling, and if you come flying in there, they'll actually write your tickets.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you still got laws.
Let me just butt in here for just a quick second. I'm loving all the information you're giving, but so you're saying that this came out of Sri Lanka, or this was a Singapore flagged container vessel named Dali. Now, here's the interesting thing. You could program GPS into this thing. These things probably will drive on their own.
They do.
So
go ahead.
And
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. So my thoughts on this are the over-under on the fact that, because the way it's speeding towards it, and the way it's almost like they were trying to they were trying to reboot whatever the system was because it was being taken over. I mean, you got Google Earth. I mean, I showed you this morning. I know exactly where it is. I could do the latitude, longitude, and everything. As soon as it got anywhere close, okay, look at it. That thing's hauling ass, dude. I mean, that's hauling ass. There's no reason why that thing should be hauling ass like that. And Lenny was saying, what's up, Derek? Lenny was saying that that black smoke means he was pouring on the fuel. I don't know if that means trying to make it go fast, but I'm telling you, this thing was steered purposefully into it, and I don't think it was steered into it by the pilots. But here's where the fuck the interviews. You know, where are the interviews? Has anyone seen an interview to any of these pilots, the captain? What's going on? Have there been any interviews whatsoever? So we'll do that. That'll be the next research here, I think. Go ahead, Luno. And by the way, your knowledge is amazing in this, but I'm using the conspiratorial, you know.
Yeah. No, and I can go along right with it. Now, normally, technically, anytime you're coming into maneuvering in ports and anything, it is a no-go for autopilot. That is supposed to be a manually controlled vessel. So that means the pilot is in control of the wheel, like, dude, just like you think you would see on TV. Like the pilot comes on board, the vessel goes up, captain gives him download, he takes over literally the wheel. Now, you do have the old school manual wheels still inside these boats, but normally they're controlled by joysticks now. So he's got a little joystick. He'll kind of bump and twist and rotate for the rudders and the degrees. So one, if he was being hacked, he should have never been on autopilot to begin with, especially in a port like that with that many obstacles.
You're missing. Hold on, you're missing my point. He wasn't on autopilot. He was.
Well,
being,
then the vessel
being,
could not.
Well, listen, he was being forced into autopilot. So somebody said, okay, it's at this longitude, this latitude. Now I'm going to take over this vessel and lock them out. Because, dude, I saw a Jeep. Like I'll bring up the video. It was like a 1992 Jeep. Had been being hijacked from a dude sitting on a laptop in a hotel miles away.
It's not fun to have your 2-ton SUV's brakes hacked just as you're parking in front of a ditch.
Okay, hold on tight. Hold on. Oh,
That's what I've learned from Charlie Miller and Chris Valasek, a pair of hackers who have spent the last year developing a piece of software that can wirelessly sabotage this 2014 Jeep Cherokee. It hasn't been altered in any way. There are no devices attached to it. But like many thousands of Jeeps around the world, it can be remotely hacked over the internet through a cellular connection to its entertainment system that would allow someone to take over its steering, its transmission, and even its brakes. I'm going to act as today's crash test dummy and drive it on the highway here in St. Louis, while Charlie and Chris hijack its digital systems from Charlie's house miles away. They wouldn't tell me what they had plans, but they assured me that it wouldn't be anything life-threatening.
remember, Andy, no matter what happens, don't panic.
It's not the first time I've driven a car while it's being attacked by these two hackers. But in 2013, they were in the back seat, and their laptops were wired into the vehicle through a port in its dashboard. Now they're sending the same sort of attacks remotely, and I have no idea what they might do.
He's going as fast as I've seen him, so.
So first we're going to turn the fan on him.
Yeah, let's turn the fan on, see if he even notices.
All right, something just turned on, all the fans and AC and stuff. I didn't do that. The trick started small. Oh my God. There's a picture of Charlie and Chris in tracksuits that just appeared on the dashboard. But as I drove down the interstate, things started getting unpleasant and very loud. Now the air conditioning is blasting, the music is blasting, and I can't see anything because of the...
He was beeping the horn. He was turning on the windshield wipers. He was cranking the music all the way up. He actually at one point in time turned the car off, which was dangerous because it could lock the steering wheel on the highway. The guy was driving on the highway. He was turning blinkers on, everything, hazard lights. This is a 1992 technology Jeep. And he was able to do everything but steer it. And that's with a 1992. And that's, you know, the Jeep doesn't have a built-in navigation system like you were saying that these do have autopilot. So my thinking on it is I don't know, man. They could easily a mile out started cranking this thing up, and the captain's like, "What the hell's going on? Why are we going so fast?" He's trying to get things, and he kept trying to reboot it. All right, we can't get control of it now. Let's turn it off, turn it back on, try to reboot the system.
Well, for the system, the autopilot system dealing with that would have no effect on the lights. The lights are running off a total separate system. So with the autopilot, that is strictly connected to rudders and throttle response, stuff like that. So that, and the gyro systems. So that's the only thing that the autopilot, the systems themselves, are going to be connected to. So that's why I told you something earlier that I got to wondering, seeing them lights come on and off like that. Something else was going on board, and was somebody trying to signal something? And I'm kind of thinking about this now as I'm talking. Was somebody trying to signal something and flashing those lights for a reason, or it was the emergency flashlights coming on? So system going down, system coming back up. But that autopilot has nothing to do with the actual. It's like a normal house inside these boats. So it's a generator that's providing the power. And It's not like somebody could have hacked the generator to control the generator. There's still manual control. Like when we would have to swap generators daily, you would literally have to go down there in the engine room, stand by there, bring a generator online, and roll the switches at the same time, so you didn't get the glitch and fry anybody's stuff. So you got to flip basically one off and the other one on simultaneously. So that, now that I'm thinking about that, those lights coming on and going off like that,
well, I did it twice.
Something else was going on. Yeah, something else is going on there.
But it's like, so there was eyewitness testimony that there was a loud boom heard right before the impact. And watch the way the bridge crumbles, man. I don't know a whole lot about the spans of the bridges, and I'm not an engineer. I don't play one on TV. I don't claim to be. But when you look at it here, like watch the way it falls. This is going to hit here, and then that lifts up. That's probably why, because it lifted up.
Yeah. And the conspiracy could be that all the electronic systems, they are constantly online, nonstop. Like I told you with our boat, you couldn't start our lift boat and even jack the legs without my office knowing about it. They could get on there and see. And like I told you, we also had cameras all over our vessel. From the only place we didn't have them was in the actual rooms where you slept in your cabins and restrooms. But as far as galley, kitchen, port room, starboard engine room, wheelhouse. So wheelhouse is also AKA the bridge. And then all over the deck. So port, starboard, bow, stern, had cameras all over the boats. And our office they could see those cameras at any time, just as the same as us being in the wheelhouse monitoring stuff, because you're surrounded by all this metal. If a fire breaks out and the fire alarm malfunctions, you're sitting there. We had big TV screens up in our wheelhouse. So if all of a sudden you see flickers of light and smoke down in the engine room, you know you got a fire.
Okay, so I have a little bit of a report. There were no vehicles traveling on the Francis Scott Key Bridge when it fell into the ocean. Okay, so I'm going to read this right now. This is from Colin Rugg on X. Report: there were no vehicles. And see, that's the thing I kind of noticed too. But there was like a crew there. I can see the crew that were on the bridge. But they were saying that, there were no vehicles traveling. That doesn't mean that there wasn't a work crew, because I just saw it right there. Did you guys see that? Here, hold on. Right, let me put it in slow motion. Right there, see them? Hold on, let me pause this. See them? They're all like right there. See all these flashing lights up here? I think that might have been the crew that was working on the bridge. Let me see.
See, and they might have been flashing the lights, and that could be why the boat might have been flashing lights.
Well, it says here. Let me read what it says here real quick. Let me look the news. So it says, report: there were no vehicles traveling on the Francis Scott Key Bridge when it fell into the ocean, thanks to heroic police officers who jumped into action. Reportedly on 8 workers, there it was, on a meal break when the cargo ship crashed into the bridge. The 8 workers plunged off the I-85 bridge into the frigid water. I think those are the ones that I saw to the right of the thing with all the lights. 2 of the 8 workers were rescued, one who was hospitalized and one who refused treatment. He brushed his clothes off and wanted to see his family. He was shaken up a little bit, but nothing major. I guess the good Lord was on his side, first responder said. The 6 other workers were presumed dead.
Well, with the Mayday call should have also been horn blast. So that ship should have also been sounding distress horn blows by regulations, letting them know it's an out of control vessel. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm wondering if that vessel was flashing the lights, shutting the lights on and off for workers, whatever, to, but still, I'm going back to the man. How would they know that workers on it? But that's funny for that bridge.
What is that? The hell was that? Huh. There's the anchor down. Look at that right there. So the caption.
Oh, okay. So the anchor's down on the boat?
Yeah, it's down now. Maybe that's because it was
on
stuck.
the bow anchor. And I'm wondering if it was that side, if somebody hit that emergency brake, dropped that anchor, the other anchor failed. That's what caused that ship to take that hard turn like it did when that anchor made contact with the ground.
Yeah, it got smashed up pretty good.
Or if there was a fire in the engine room,